be something that happens in this movie, but we know from the second movie that the mutants kind of have some sort of telepathic powers. Right. They could have used that because we don't see them the mutants being stealthy here, but maybe in our 3-day journey back, if every now and then they were about to be seen, you get Caesar's perspective where you see some rocks fall down and nobody's there, and then you cut to the mutant's perspective where he's got his fingers to his temple and making Caesar not see that. So that's why they can be on a fucking ridge that everybody's standing there, because they're using their mutant powers to hide from everybody.
Yeah, you could have done that. I didn't think about.
Hell, they could be walking through the apes themselves using their mutant powers, and that's how they get close and hear what's actually happening.
Or they can use their mutant powers to hear.
Yeah. That's it.
Maybe they have bionic hearing. Has anybody got anything else?
That's it for me.
Not really. I mean, it's got some revelations here to the rest of the town. It should be setting up that they themselves need to be prepared for something.
Right.
Caesar being kind of foolish and saying we saw no signs of the humans following them. We didn't see any of their journey home. They were just suddenly home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can't say that we didn't see them, the mutants in the desert following them while they're trying to get back home from the desert. They were just chased out of the city. And I don't know why Caesar would warn we have to plan against a time when they cut out
of the city.
When they cut out the dialogue that they were shot at.
So you think of the Lord of the Rings films and how much of that is a journey, right? It's all about moving, and because you think, okay, I can't just show a trip there, have a moment, and a trip back because it's repetitive. But what you could do with that second scene, and I promise I'll wrap this 2 seconds, is if after they've escaped, have them around a fire making something to eat. So we now know that they've taken time to hunt, and maybe Virgil's looking. Do you see anyone? I see nothing. If you have those, then they could have a discussion about all of this. They could be having the discussion that forms, I'm going to have to call the council. If he says it here, then when he calls it, we know that narrative, it's happened. It's such a missed opportunity. I love these 5 minutes compared to anything else, but there are still ample missed opportunities.
No, I was going to say about Lord of the Rings is, I mean, you get more of it because it's a long movie, but the journey is supposed to take months in Lord of the Rings.
Right.
And so at minimum, this journey is a week's turnaround. It's 3 days there, 3 days back, so it's not exact science.
Right.
You would think, you want to see them beat up, exhausted, coming back. That's why we've got to prepare, because we saw mutants there and they might come out of the city someday. Not ranting and raving, but I'm exhausted and I have to deliver this message.
But think about that. If they had added a scene like that, that almost echoes the thing between Culp and his people, and we realize these two sides, how often is it true if they would just listen instead of acting, that they could avoid the conflict that's coming? And I think it would have been interesting to have them talk that through, and Caesar know I've dealt with these people before, and we could see him giving into his weakness of that. It's what ifs, and maybe in our minds while we all fall asleep, we get to see Battle for the Planet of the Apes, our version.
It might have been different if Dane were writing this particular script. He would have remembered or incorporated some of the seeds that needed to kind of move this a little bit further along in terms of the logic, as opposed to having this other team come in and try and craft this. I mean, based on some of the ideas, but they're not drawing some of the logical connections I think Dane would have.
Yeah,
it's not the Snyder cut.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I just edited that in between the other day, and Richard made that same sound numerous times this week too. Yeah. All right, that's Friday. It's minute 45. Was that?
Yeah,
45. All right. For Richard and Todd. For Richard and Sean, I'm Todd. We'll be back next week with 5 more minutes, and I'll try to learn all of our names by then. So everyone, have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.